Okay, guys, I hope this works. This has been a complete nightmare. I've hit the live button. Here we go. Welcome to another Makers Muse stream where, as always, everything goes catastrophically wrong. So what happened is this is the Moai SLA 3D printer, which is today's topic. And I've been using this using my desktop system. So I plan to stream using my desktop system. But for some reason, I couldn't get any of the other cameras to function except one camera. And you're not going to see much from all the way over there where it is. So I had to transfer everything across to this laptop, which had none of the software installed. None of it was set up. It was in the other room. Wasn't even charged. Usual disaster, as always. But anyway, today's topic of the stream is an SLA 3D printer, which is really exciting. I've never featured an SLA 3D printer on Makers Muse. And for those who don't know, it's a resin-based 3D printing technology. It's actually one of the oldest technologies for 3D printing, coming out in around 1986. And it uses a UV curable resin and a laser, which will then cure those layers. But it's been pretty expensive traditionally. But Mark got in touch with me a few months ago about this bad boy over here, and he's launched it on Kickstarter. It's called the Moai SLA 3D printer. And this is a pre-production unit, but I wanted to go through what using an SLA is all about. So I'll try to keep an eye on the chat, but I'm not going to be able to answer many questions. I'm sorry, I don't have a helper today. And I do have some breakfast juice and some food. It's just been crazy. And I know a lot of you guys are at, if you're in America, you've gone to the Rep Rap festival, Midwest Rep Rap festival. I'm super jealous. I'm just going to put that out there. So yeah, 8-Bit's asking a good question. What does SLA stand for? It's not actually it doesn't actually stand for anything. It's just stereolithography. So it's not I can't remember the word. It doesn't stand for like selective laser anything. It's just stereolithography, not like FDM where it's fused deposition modeling or anything like that. So I'm going to do is just fire up the campaign just to show you what it looks like. There we go. That should work. Welcome to repeating OBS. So this is the Moai affordable high resolution laser SLA 3D printer. By the way, this is not sponsored in any way, shape or form. This is just me showing you guys what it's all about. So he's even live streamed it from the Rep Rap Fair. That's awesome. So Mark put this machine together, and it's a resin-based 3D printer. So this is a good example, good photo of what it looks like without any of the covers. If it will actually work, maybe not. That's a tiny photo. Okay, never mind. But basically, it's a bottom-up system. Let's go down. There we go. So this bit here is the build plate, and that drops into a bath of resin and then slowly raises up layer by layer. And now you can have my beautiful face again. So this is a pre-production unit, as I said, but I'm going to go through how you send prints to it, and hopefully we'll get a print off it in the next hour or so. So let me open up the machine. And let's go to this view. Bit of a close-up. Hopefully it doesn't fail again. So what you've got is you have the resin bath, which is filled with UV curable resin. I may need to top that up. And you have the print surface that drops into the resin bath. And then the laser's in here, and that will cure the bottom layer and it builds up. So I'm just going to put on some of these bad boys just in case. It's not that dangerous, but just to be better safe than sorry. Let me just pop out chat so I can see it properly. There we go. So I'm just going to power it on. So the SLA printers, there you go. So it tilts the bath. SLA printers home like any other 3D printer. You've got just a Z-axis though, in this case. And the thing about the Moai, which is cool, is it has an actual galvo spinning mirror system. So that's where the laser is actually down the bottom, and it hits two mirrors, which make the X and Y axes on the plate. So Ben, the printer's currently on Kickstarter at the moment, and he's already passed his goal. So this is a pre-production. There's a few things that I've been in touch with Mark about to change, but yeah, it's already reached its goal, which is pretty cool. So what I might do is I'm just going to fire up on my screen, if I can find it. Again, I had to do all this, just set this up just then. Okay, I'm going to change you back to desktop. There you go. Right. So what I'm going to do is show you how to work out support material for SLA. So SLA is very different to conventional FDM 3D printing because it's a top-down system, so parts can fall off, but you also have the interface. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong camera. You also have the interface between the bottom layer and the build plate, and that's like a suction force that must be overcome. You would have seen when the machine turned on, it tilts the bed. That's how it releases that suction. So instead of doing line supports, you need to do what's called pin supports, which are little tiny points or tree-like supports. Some people do use them on FDM, but they're better for SLA, realistically. So let's see if I can find a file on this computer. Hopefully there's something useful. Coin, that will do. Let's do a maker coin. Okay. So when you're setting up an SLA, you need to take into account the fact that you can't have a hollow object that is completely sealed. What that means is FDM prints in air, and you can have air inside the part. SLA prints in liquid, therefore there would be liquid inside the part. And SLA resins are pretty expensive. So I'm not going to do it on this model here, but I've got some examples I'll show you in a minute where you might want to hollow them out, for example. Alex is asking how I run the Form 2. Not yet, though I do have one on the way, so I will compare it between the two. Although, to be fair, the Form 2 is a lot more expensive, so keep that in mind. It's going to be a better experience, but it's going to be a more expensive experience. No, no, the Kickstarter's just started. It's already reached its goal, though, which is cool. Okay, so the thing I learned when I visited Shining 3D in China, Hangzhou, China, is to get the best finish out of SLA, you don't want to print the parts flat on the build plate. You kind of want to print them at a 45-degree angle or so. That hides the layers better. So what I'm going to do first with this coin is orient it to be slightly angled. So I'm going to go to Edit, Transform, and that's just rotate him maybe 30 degrees. So not fully, but that will do. Also, I've got it upside down at the moment, and I'm pretty happy with that because this sharp edge would normally be difficult to support if it was facing the other way. So I'll accept that. Also, this is fairly computer intensive, so hopefully it won't stuff the stream up. I'll keep looking at the chat if I can. It's 3 a.m. in Germany. Welcome, Tyson Power. Thanks for joining me. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to apply our supports. So we're going to go to overhangs, and MeshMix will automatically detect where it might need support material. So it has various presets, and I'm going to choose SLA or DLP printer. This is where the stream might stutter, but I'm going to then generate support. So I have an angle threshold. I'll leave that at 45. Let's just see how that goes. Cool. Okay. So this is a pin or tree-like support structure generated automatically from MeshMixer. Straight away, I can see it's done stuff that might not be needed, like here. But just in case, I'll print it anyway. Oh, actually, no, I won't. I'll just remove those supports and change the angle threshold slightly, because that's too much support. Let's change the threshold. Come on. Let's go to 60. Oh, it's too much. Wrong way. Some software you go one way, some you go the other way, depending on where the zero angle is, not perpendicular. Okay, that looks pretty good. So let's try to generate support there. What's the chat doing? Yeah, you always do need support in SLA, definitely, but you can get away with less than it sometimes recommends. 2 a.m. in England. Yosef, is this your first SLA? Yes, it is actually. This is my first. I've worked with SLAs before, but I've never owned one. So that looks pretty decent to me. You notice as well the part's not resting on the build surface. That's important because you want it to be raised up slightly. You don't always have to do it, but because of that suction force, you generally want it kind of in space. And MeshMixer does these cool bridges. They do actually work, which is neat. And it's just another quirk of SLA. So I'm going to say done there. And that looks pretty decent to me. So what I would normally do is make solid for this model, but I'm going to try just doing it normally because I'm using Cura. And Cura handles all these intersecting shells much better than Simplify 3D does or other software I've used. And what Mark's done is he's made a Cura profile for the SLA. So to put that in perspective, your nozzle is usually 0.4 millimeters in diameter. His profile sets the nozzle diameter at 0.069 millimeters. That's the pixel point, or the focus point. So I'm going to file, export, save this. Save as coin, supports. I'll do. What's the chat saying? Considering Open SLA now that you've got this kind of machine for testing. Yeah, there is quite a few low-cost SLAs now. And do you get scarring from supports? Yes, Carl, you do, unfortunately. One of the drawbacks of SLA of this type of system is the supports are the same material, therefore they do have a interface and they do leave little pock marks. That's why I've made it like this with the back facing here, and it's in the corner, you're less likely to see it, but yes, you will get pock marks from the support material. Okay, now I'm going to see if Windows 10 knows how to find Cura. I won't find it because I haven't installed it yet. That's fantastic. Okay, let's install it. There's a bit of streamception here. Just what? Windows 10. Why? Downloads. Okay. Hopefully, let me download it and install it while the stream's running. Again, for those coming late, I had to jump ship from the other computer I'd normally run this machine on. So this is all just being set up for the first time. What could go wrong? I'm just going to change it to the other view temporarily. There you go. Right, chat. So Alex is saying you can use very little resin after removal and UV light to repair. Yeah, you can actually, which is quite cool. You can basically get extra resin from the bath and take it outside, or you use a UV light to cure it and patch areas or glue things together. Joel, 3D printing nerd, Angus, you're looking good at Midwest Rap Fest. That is a tongue twister. Midwest Rap Festival. I wish I was there, guys. That looked so much fun. Honestly, I'm so jealous of you, Dustin, Chuck, everyone who made it there. Right, Hobby Boy, Angus, where can I ask a question about my first 3D printer? Unfortunately, dude, I get asked that hundreds of times a day. I can't really help, but I did make a video and a stream recently on lots of questions you should be looking for in terms of newbie questions that I did answer. And also I did a top 5 printers under 350 bucks US, which are good recommended machines, at least from my opinion, for your first 3D printer. Okay, while that's installing, I'm going to show you some example prints I've done. So I've got here, this is the first print that I did on the machine. So this is loaded on the SD card before I had any idea of what I was doing. And Mark included, I think it's like some sort of little guy, but you can see how he's hollowed it out. So it saves resin. And oh my God, Joel. From, where was it? I need to scroll up. Hey, from Murph Angus, we all love you. Oh man, thank you. Thank you. I wish I was there. Oh man, you just threw my train of thought so bad. Thank you. So anyway, it's hollow to save resin, and these are the tree-like supports that are generated. So that's the first print I did, and it hasn't even fully cured properly because we had very little sun. But this is the second one I did. So this is a little SLA cat. It's the famous sort of Egyptian cat that I usually print on my FDM machines. This is printed at 100 microns. And I left the support material in place because I'm going to do a review in future. This is probably a good example of how things can go wrong with SLA. It's sort of formed halfway up. So you do sometimes get parts that don't adhere correctly. Also, you notice it's actually hollow. So I hollowed them out to save resin. Friendman is asking, is SLA faster than FDM? It depends. This machine is actually pretty darn fast, but some SLAs can be very slow. Also, you have your resolution of down to 10 microns in some cases. I wouldn't go in any less than 25 on this machine, though. The reason he's donating is because he's drunk. I love Drunk Joel. I am going to hang out with Drunk Joel one day. Okay, run Cura. Okay, I'm going to switch back. There you go. See my lovely face. So I'm just going to get Cura installed. Cheering me on. Woo! Oh, Chuck, thanks for joining. So Chuck's saying the printer is next to my booth at Midwest Rep Rap Festival. Yeah, tell Mark I said hi. Zishan is asking, UV cured resin still needs to be cleaned in an alcohol bath, correct? Absolutely. So I have some stuff here behind me, some IPA and some water and gloves and things. So when I do the print, I'll show you how you clean it. Okay, is this installed? Yes, okay. Right, so I'm going to add my custom profile. Just 1 minute. Again, apologies. This was not meant to be done on this computer. Entertain yourself in the chat for the moment. File. Add printer. Oh, come on, how do I import the settings? Can anyone help me importing the settings in Cura? I've completely forgotten how you do it. Configure Cura. Profiles. Profiles? Import, got it. Just bringing Mark's profile into Cura. So for those who missed it, it makes the nozzle diameter 0.069 millimeters, which is pretty small. Let's be realistic here. Okay. Righto. Okay, back to the chat. Derek, how does one get resin out of carpet? I dropped my Form 2 plate, landed butter side down. Yeah, I'm terrified of that, actually. Resin is a nightmare to remove from everything. It will be sticky when liquid, and when it sets, it's rock hard. I would try to get some IPA or ethanol into it to try to dissolve it, but it might damage the carpet. I think you're pretty much done if that's the case. You guys can find specs over on the Kickstarter page. I can't really read them out right now, but I'm just going to go back and show you what I'm doing in Cura. Okay. Right, so got Cura fired up, and basically this machine takes standard G-code. So all you need to do is go to Open File, and I'll navigate to my coin. But you do have to do the supports manually. Well, not manually, but in a separate program. You can't use Cura supports. It's not going to work. So you notice I've got profile set up as the Moai standard 100 micron setting, 0.1 millimeters. And if we go through like the different, I guess, options, probably need to. By default, Cura hides everything, which is annoying. That's okay. We don't need to see that right now. So if we go to the layer view, this is what we've got. So I moved it, and it's going to reslice. I dislike Cura somewhat. I will be honest. Joel's not drunk on Angus. He's drunk on all the high fives he's gotten today. Okay, let's try that again. So if you view it from here, that's not correct. Why? Okay, I'm gonna have to change something. 1 minute. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Going back to the instructions. Print settings. Instructions. So in Mark's credit, he has put together an amazing amount of instructions already, even though it's not released. Yes, you can now disable auto slicing. I did see that in the latest version. Thank you. Why am I not using Simplify 3D? Because Mark has not set up Simplify 3D as a profile. So he's used Cura, which is fine, actually. Cura works quite well. Right next to Joel. Okay. Sorry. Okay, so he used Cura 2.4. I did just install 2.5. Hopefully that doesn't change things very much. Okay, so I've imported the preset, but for some reason the infill is not correct. So I'm just going to go into preferences and make it like show all the settings, which it's hiding. Okay, check all. Thank you. Okay, now it's updating. All right, sorry, back to the chat. Okay. Yep, so Xiaojun is saying, well, it's much like FDM printing. It is absolutely very similar in this case. The Galvo laser is acting like an extruder head. The G code is pretty much the same. So Icicle's asking, does laser SLA give more detail than LCD? Yes and no. They both have their benefits, their pros and cons. So laser will give you a sharper point, but the laser on a Galvo system, if you imagine it's coming up straight, it's focused here, but as you get to the extents of the build edges, it gets out of focus, it gets fuzzy, so you can't have a perfectly focused build volume. That's why they're usually quite small. And in industrial ones, they use multiple lasers, multiple Galvos. So that's one downside of SLA. Whereas DLP, you have the pixel, which is the voxel size, but that may not be as sharp as a laser focus point. Opinion on the, where was it? The Kodama Obsidian 3D printer. That looks cool. I may or may not be getting a pre-production one of those. Yes, and I'm in Australia. That's why I couldn't come to Murph. Very, very sad about that. Okay, so I'm just going through the settings here. I don't know what's changed. Can't see. For some reason it's doing the infill wrong, and I'm not quite sure why. Infill density, that should be like 100. The nozzle size should be 0.069, and I can't see nozzle size here. Has there been any significant changes between 2.4 and 2.5, guys? Am I going to Maker Faire? I would like to, yes. I would very much like to go to Maker Faire. Manage profiles. Ugh. Custom. Oh, there we go, nozzle size. All right, my mistake. Have to do that manually. Finish. Okay, let's see how that goes. You're learning as I'm learning, but it's a good experience of how an SLA works and how to run it. How expensive is the resin? That's a fantastic question, Ivan. So 3D printing resin for SLA UV cured printers has come down a lot in price recently. So you're looking at $50 for 500 milliliters, maybe, depending on the brand. I know you can get fun to do resin that's super cheap, but I don't know how good that is. I don't know what the brand that Mark sent across to me. I'm not sure what that brand is, but it works quite well. Okay, I'm going to go back to the other screen now. Desktop, there you go. So I've done something wrong. I don't have the ability to think about it too much right now, but I'm going to just change my infill setting to 90. And the nozzle size seems correct now. I'm sorry, Mark, you're probably cringing. It is properly set up on my other PC, but on this PC, it's not at all. Joseph, oh, thanks, man. I do appreciate it. You don't need to become a Patreon. You've always been supportive. I really do appreciate it. Thank you. The chat does have massive delay. Yeah, YouTube chat always has huge delay. Love, but what do I think of the $100 Peachy printer? I think that printer doesn't exist because it was used to build a house. Okay. So that looks pretty good. Oh, it's got a brim. No, don't want a brim. Profile. Moai. Go. Slice it. Yes. Okay. Yeah, so I just set the infill higher. That's fixed it. Thomas, what are my thoughts on the filler extruder or any kind of filament recycling? I did do a video on refill recycled PET bottle filament, and that's the way to go in my opinion. I wouldn't try to do it yourself. Which ones? There you go. I wouldn't try to do it yourself because there's diameter issues. I know you can do it, but don't expect a easy experience. All right, I'm just going to send this across. Let's see how it goes. So get the SD card. Right, pop it in. There's a bit of a learning curve trying to figure out how it all works. Okay. Oh, open. No, I said, I'm so clever today. Save file. Save. Coin supports. That'll do. There we go. Okay, save. Yeah, you do need to do solid infills, but at the laser focus, you're not going to see any difference between 90 and 100. Saving. Okay. Let's go to scene again. Okay. Check out, so Coltrane, you're saying, check out my comment on the bottle part 2 video. I want to hear your input. All right, I'll see what I can do, see if I can find it. And then Jeremy, proprietary slicers may have some advantages based on setup issues. That's a good point. I'm not sure what you're referring to, but a company that makes their own slicer that's designed for their printer, like the UP printers, is always going to be a better experience than something that's like a one-size-fit-all kind of deal. Okay, that's saved. Pop it out. Checked. No, still saving. No, it can't be right. No, okay. Right. So let's change over to this one. So just put the card in, and I'm going to put my glasses on. So I'm going to leave it open. Normally you leave it closed to print, but I'm going to leave it open. I'm also going to top the resin up just slightly. So just one moment. So this is the resin that Shu sent across. And I'm just going to get some gloves. So you know what they say about gloves. What do they say about gloves? Yep, trying to keep up with the chat. Do I have an opinion on the ANET A8 printer? You get what you pay for. Kits, in my opinion, are a hobby, 3D printing, not so much of a tool. But I do intend to test an A6 out at some point, but not the A8. Who knew putting gloves on was so difficult? Am I putting it on the wrong way? Yes, I am. I'm so clever. These are nitrile gloves, not latex, so they're a bit harder to put on. Why is this? What? Can't get my pinky into the... There we go. Thank you. Right. I would never come across as a doctor. I have no idea how to put gloves on. So Thomas, the program I was using before for support material was Mesh Mixer, and the program I was using for slicing is Cura. Right. Gloves. All right. So you do need gloves to handle this sort of stuff. Resins are not the safest things. They're not too bad, but you do need to be pretty careful with them. Also, I'm going to get some paper towel out just in case. I have had a spill before. So Mark's put a line in the actual tray because what happens is as this drops down, the liquid gets displaced and it's easier to think that you need to fill it up heaps when you don't. So I'm just going to put a little bit more in than is currently there. That's probably enough. I didn't pour it straight in the center because it will make little bubbles, although that's not too bad. If there is bubbles, you need to let them settle, otherwise you'll get bubbles in your print, which is not great. Right, so set up like a normal 3D printer. You can see it there. And I'm just going to print, navigate to my folder, and navigate to my coin. I have tried a lot of prints on this. Where is it? There we go. And it's asked confirm print yes. Laser goggles on, and that's confirm the print. All right, see if it works. So that's how it releases the layers. Alex, do I have a video on Mesh Mixer versus NetFab versus any other? I've done lots of fixing videos, but I'm not a big fan of NetFab because it doesn't stitch shells together. Cool. Okay, so what you can see is the laser underneath is now applying that first layer to the print. And it does run a little bit slower than it would normally because it wants to really bake that first layer onto the build plate. And this is where your print will fail or succeed. If it doesn't stick, it's going to stick to the acrylic instead, and that's when everything goes horribly wrong. Yeah, no, I don't know who asked you if you can use PLA on an SLA 3D printer, but you cannot. So the thing about SLA is top down, the print's upside down. So it's going to come out of the bath as it rises up. And it's a bit trippy because in time lapse, it looks like it's growing out of this bath from nothing. So this is, bottom up SLA, which is this. But there is also another variation called top down. I have a Gizmo 3D, which is a DLP top down resin system that I'm going to be testing after this. And that's you need a larger bath because the platform drops into the bath rather than the platform coming out. Fix the glare. I can't see the glare. Oh, that glare from that. Does that help? There you go. Jim, is this a Form 2 clone? No, it's not. The Form 2 is a different design. It does use Galvos, but it's a completely different design. This is a custom-built machine. So Mark designed the Galvo system and the Galvo controllers. Don't know if you heard that, but there was like a sort of click, a clack noise it released. That's a good sign. That means it's relieving suction from that first layer. And from here on, you can see the laser starts really going at it. So SLA is not actually that slow. So I'm going to give this a 50-50 chance of working. But I do have a coin I've printed before. Zoom in on print, please. I will try. Okay, let's see what I can do. I'm very cautious because everything's been failing so badly. I'll put the glasses on again if I'm facing it. Okay, there you go. Give me a second. Just turn that off. There you go. There you go. Oh, is Joel live streaming right now as well? Oh, poor Joel. No, if you want to watch Joel, it's totally fine. This will be recorded and uploaded later. Derek is saying resin tastes like cancer, definitely like cancer. Yeah, I would not put any of this stuff near your mouth or your nose. It does smell. And it's probably quite toxic. When am I reviewing the Gizmo 3D? ASAP, it's just a very big machine, and because it's top down, it's, yeah, sorry about the camera juggling. I'm trying to figure out a good way to do it. Let's try this. Because the cable's only so long. This is the problem why I couldn't use the other computer. Sorry. So I'm just going to change over while I do this, so you don't get like horribly seasick. There you go. Again, nothing's pre-recorded here on Makers Muse. Did I cap the bottle of resin? Yes, I did. It's fine. It's sealed. Is it smelly? It does have an acrylic acrid smell to it, definitely, which is not very pleasant, but it's not too bad. If you ever laser cut something before, it's that sort of smell, but not nearly as severe. Yeah, so how it works is there's a Galvo laser in here. So that is a laser with two different motors, and the motors have mirrors on them. So you imagine like the laser hits one, mirror directs it up, and then mirror hits, the other mirror directs it sideways. So you get X and Y movement through two mirrors, which is spinning. And then you can make it do really fast, as you can see, really fast movements. So each time the bed moves, that's a layer. So it's not very slow. It's actually quite fast. But it will take longer for bigger prints. All right, let's see if this works. Right. Yeah, technology nerd saying the resin smells really bad. It does depend on your machine though. Some resins are a lot less smelly than others. Okay, let's see how this goes. Okay, that should work. There you go. Yeah, don't touch the resin, ever. That's why I have these nitrile gloves. Okay, going back to the chat. So, what have we got? Have I missed anyone? Apparently Joel's stream is a little bit chaotic. I'm not surprised. If you can't understand what's going on in Joel's stream, but you understand what's going on in this stream, yeah, this is a disaster, so his must be pretty nuts. Yeah, so the printer's called the Moai, and it's on Kickstarter currently, and I think they had a $30,000 goal, which has now been surpassed, so it's definitely getting funded. Pigumon is asking, will those galvos wear out quickly as opposed to a DLP? Not really. They're brushless style motors, so unlikely that they're going to wear out as fast as a motor with brushes or any sort of physical moving part. I mean, really, the machine has very little moving parts. You're looking at a spinning motor system that could go for a very long time, and a Z-axis on a linear rail, and the tilt motor. So the tilt motor had a few issues that Mark's already corrected, and he's already upgrading the system, the galvo and all that, to a more powerful laser for the production machines. Alex, laser is 70 microns, isn't the Form 220? I'm not sure what the I guess point size of the Form 2 is, but that wouldn't surprise me too much because the Form 2 has to bounce the laser through another mirror to get the compact size. Notice the Moai is quite tall, and that's because the galvo needs the distance to reach the bed. How long is the print going to take? Well, it's printed about 8 millimeters or so. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go back to scene. So you're going to see me, and I'm going to add the other capture and just pop it down there so you can watch it printing away. There you go. I may or may not have gotten resin on my laptop. No, I haven't. Okay, that's fine. Mike, so basically, to explain for those guys who've come late, this is the Moai SLA 3D printer. It is, I shouldn't really, right. It's not a really dangerous laser, but it is a UV laser, so you don't see, it's quite powerful. But it is protected in this black box. It's a Kickstarter campaign for a DIY kit SLA 3D printer. And it's quite good. I've been testing the pre-production model for Mark for a while, and we've gone through a few iterations, a few changes to his instructions, but it went together really well. I had no issues at all putting it together. It's a really nice kit. Someone asked before if the print trays are like infinitely reusable. They do have a shelf life. They do get damaged each time the print separates. And also, if you do have a print fail and stick to the bottom of that acrylic tray, that's when you're going to get issues. You might damage it. Ben's saying they're all drunk at Murph. That's awesome. You can totally put both streams on. Right, so while this one's printing, I'm going to show you guys this. There you go. So I might have to turn my light back on, sorry. But I will point it away from, there you go. So this is the lattice cube torture test that I designed for FDM 3D printers, but it's at half scale, printed on the Moai SLA 3D printer. And because it's designed with the overhangs, you don't need support material. So it's not as tiny as the ones that got sent to me from Sapphire, which is another SLA system, but it is pretty darn small. Angus in space. Colin is asking, is it faster than FDM or DLP? It's a bit faster than some DLPs, probably about the same, depending on the cure speed. But each layer is done remarkably fast. What you can see is the laser going across like that, and then it releases. That's one layer. So although it has finer layer height, therefore higher resolution, it's not much faster than FDM. I mean, you are looking at some print times, sometimes of like a day for this print volume or longer, depending on your resolution. You can go down to 25 microns if you want, but I'm only printing this one at, I think it was 50 or 100 microns. Is there a HEPA filter on this machine? No, there is no safety considerations. The door doesn't turn the laser off. There's no filtration system. So this room does get a bit smelly with this running. So I run a fan that vents air through the entire room. Right now, it doesn't smell too bad. This resin's had a bit of time to off-gas. When it's straight out of the bottle, it does have a bit of a smell to it. Mr. Nard King, hello from the tundra of Alaska. Wow, that's awesome, dude. For all the specs, in the description of this stream, you can see the Kickstarter campaign. So the thing about SLA I explained earlier in the stream is the laser focus point changes. So the center might be perfectly focused, but the outer edges might be out of focus because as a laser moves with the galvo, it's from a set fixed point. It doesn't move like that perpendicular. It moves at an angle. So to get good focus, you can't print too large. Although the plate's this large, the tray's this large, you can't really print right to the extent. But the exact specs are on the Kickstarter campaign. I'm going to take these gloves off now. I will need them to clean up the print though. Apparently Joel's stream sounds like a frat house. How much is the printer? It's about 800 US, I believe. Yeah, that's about 1,000, including the shipping, I think. All right. I hate gloves so much. Have I swapped my Red Bull for Monster? No, actually, I've discovered this, which is a sour apple mother, which is really quite nice. Can you still see it if I close the door? Is it still? Not really. Okay, let's leave this open. Ugh. Looking through these is like, you know, oh, that didn't work at all. Makes everything have a green tinge, so when you take it off, everything looks orangey because your eyes have been compensating. Yeah, so it's a Kickstarter and it's $1,000. Blow into the gloves to take them off. I'll remember that next time. Thank you, Derek. Yeah, I do have a box, but I've almost run out. I should have bought a bigger box. Yeah, so the thing about SLA to remember is traditionally it's been really expensive. The Galvo systems alone were several $1,000s. Remember the original form that came out was a couple of $1,000s. So we're used to now of 3D printers costing very little money because FDM has come so far down in price, but SLA hasn't. And we're only starting to see now that get cheaper. So we've got this machine, for example, and then we've also got the, what's it called? The Wanhao Duplicator 7, which is a DLP system for $400 US, which is really cheap. But it's only now starting to happen. Video scrap heap, thank you. I probably shouldn't use it on more Red Bull, but I probably will. I don't know, is saying I should get a laser cutter. Yes, absolutely, I would love a laser cutter. I don't have space though. And the thing about laser cutters is the ventilation is really important. Like, I need to keep this room ventilated for smells, but laser cutting produces very toxic fumes in some cases, and you need a proper ventilation system. So down the track, if I get a larger space where it's more industrial and I can vent like safely or filter safely, I would absolutely love a laser cutter. Caleb's asking, am I still doing battle bots? I'm part of an objective-based robotics organization called First Tech Challenge. I know First very well. It's quite cool. I wish they had it when I was in school. But yeah, I am still doing battle bots or robot combat machines, whatever. There's a combat robot event in June, I think, called Vivid, as part of the Vivid Light Show in Sydney, which I will be attending. Rob's saying put the glasses on and close the door. Yeah, you're right. I probably should put them on. I mean, again, the laser in there isn't the most dangerous. It's not going to blind you instantly, but it probably will not be good to look at it. Kind of like looking at the sun. Not great. Yeah, the whole fume thing that's come out recently, there is a campaign on Kickstarter now called the Zim Pure or something. I can't remember the name. That doesn't look like a very good solution in my opinion. It's a very tiny inlet, and the thing with like flow of air, the larger diameter is like to the power of 4 throughput. I'm not that mathematically inclined, but you need a fairly large vent to pull air through. Like laser vent systems are big tubes. That little tiny nozzle, I can't see that doing very much. Okay, I get it. Yeah, so the pre-order early bird on the Kickstarter campaign for the Moai, they've already gone. So you can get it for $1,000, but other people got it for 800. I am in Australia at an undisclosed location. Near Sydney. Let's go with that. Shane's saying, heads up, the reject shop has V and Monster for $2. I don't need any more help to be buying this stuff. Matthew, what am I doing? Okay, let me explain again. So this is a maker coin that I'm printing currently on an SLA system. And you'll notice, guys, if you can see I'll make it a bit bigger. Now the plate's getting out of the resin, and this confused me initially because it looks like you don't have enough resin. You attempted to pour more in. But that's not the case. The part can lift completely out. And as long as that bottom layer is still touching, you're good. But this is the point where I can kind of look into it and see if it's working, which is what I'm going to do here. It's very difficult to see. It looks like it is. I'm going to say it looks like the support material have adhered correctly to the build plate. But again, it's hard to tell. So it may fail horribly. Don't blame the machine, blame the user. 100% in this case. Okay, let's go back. No, unfortunately, I don't know the future price of this printer. As with any Kickstarter, it will go up in price. You can jump in the Kickstarter to get it. But I do need to mention the fact that being a Kickstarter campaign, it's not a pre-order. You're backing a development of a project, and you may not get the machine, or it may not reach your expectations. So I'm not saying go back it like without any research. Kickstarter is not pre-ordering. So keep that in mind. I've done many videos on Kickstarter. Although having said that, this machine has been with me for a few months, and Mark has been very good at keeping me up to date. So if I did back a machine in SLA, he's pretty clued on. And he's at Midwest Rep Rat Festival. Do I know the guys over at Make Test Battle? No, I have been in touch with them now and then through comments, but not very well. Greetings from Iceland. Thank you, Gunnar. Thank you for joining. That's awesome. Shane is asking, have I had many fails on this printer? Yes, I have. So what me and Mark worked out is there is a certain setting that we were using in Print Studio instead of using Mesh Mixer, where the points of the support material, and again, like this is support material, the points weren't quite touching the model. So it was making a beautiful bed of supports and the model was just not adhering. And it turns out that was a problem with the configuration we were using. It was designed for the Ember, which is an Autodesk resin system, but this is different. So now we just use whatever it's called, Mesh Mixer. That's the one. I should wear these glasses at the Maker Fair. Makes everything look awful. It makes everything have a green cast to it. Yeah, I am the Green Lantern. Yes, Joseph, this will be uploaded later for your viewing pleasure. I may edit the start out, but yes, there will be more. It seems to be going okay. I don't know how long this will take. I'm happy to just chill for a while. I've been going for an hour. It's all good. I like answering questions. Everyone's all over the world and I'm just here in Wollongong. Yeah, I feel you, man. Joel just finished his stream. I'd love to hear what happened with Joel's stream. That sounded like complete chaos. I mean, they must be having a pretty good time to decide to stream after that many, I guess, beers. Neil Levine, greetings from my basement. Dude, you have a dope basement set up. Your streaming setup is amazing. Like, look at this crap. I'm just like throwing stuff together. Yours is just ace. If you guys haven't seen Nillabean's streams, definitely go check his channel out. Definitely the best stream sort of set, I guess, or studio by far. Crank, Angus's recommendation for the Trinus gave me a nice printer. Yes, the Trinus is quite decent. I'm really happy with the one that I got sent pre-production. I have some parts to upgrade it, which I need to get around to doing. Print volume's a little bit small, I'll be honest. For a machine that's that rigid, it's a bit unusual, but if you're printing small things, you can get very good accuracy, which is quite nice. Randall, where's the Bunnings shopping video? That'll come at some point. A lot of things have changed. So, yes, I'd like to get onto that at some point. Unfortunately, Bunnings is really expensive. Like, if you want to get anything, it's a real rip-off. So, like, even though it's a nice idea to go there to make a project, I'd rather buy stuff online and save, like, half the price. We'll see. Yeah, yeah, I like the orange on Nilla's bench as well. It's very nicely done. Reminds me of Linus Tech Tips. Nice, I love the orange styles. How long will the print take? I don't know. The estimates out of Cura are completely wrong because they're optimized for FDM printing, not SLA. So looking at it now, it is hard to see. It's going to be going for some time. So I will definitely update you guys on the progress, but I may as well show you some other examples. So this one's pretty cool. This one's awesome. This is what I wanted to do years ago. So what this is, if I can get my thing across there, thank you. This is using Mesh Mixer to create a lattice 3D structure that I've then put inside a cube and 3D printed on this machine. And the thing about this structure is it's so delicate, like incredibly delicate. And it was always impossible to do on FDM. Like, as you know, the torture tests are hard. This is like 0.5 millimeter diameter rods. But it printed this like that, so down and then up. That was the interface surface. And it printed awesome. Like, that is so cool. So that's what you can do with SLA. You can't do that with FDM at all. What is the monitor in the background? I can see the reflection. It's just a really crappy old Dell monitor. So that's an example. One thing I have kind of picked up on is I tried to print this. So these are knurled gears. So this is solid. And this is hollowed out with supports. And when you're cleaning up parts, you have to use isopropyl alcohol or ethanol and wash the excess resin off because it's in a resin bath. And these don't go together. They don't screw together. And I think the reason why is I didn't use a toothbrush or brush to actually scrub the parts. So this must have residue resin on it that's now hardened. You can kind of see the residue resin coming off. So that's another, I guess, learning curve is post-processing SLA parts because they come out sticky. They're flexible. You need to put them under a UV light source, which I've been trying to use the sun, but for ages it hasn't actually been sunny enough. A lot of people are asking if SLA is faster. I've answered this about 10 times already, but basically it depends. That's the only answer I can put forward. You can do very fine layer resolutions on SLA, but then it will take a while. 0.1 millimeters will generally be faster than an FDM print, but keep in mind, these machines don't have an infill. They print solid. So if you're printing a large FDM part which is hollow, it'll probably print faster than SLA. Yeah, but as you can see here, with the layer resolution we've got, it's taking some time. Sarah's asking, do you wash the resin off in water or another liquid? So you want to wash the resin off in a solvent, usually. Some resins can be water soluble, but basically what I use is this. It's not very good. I need to get some actual ethanol, but this is isopropyl alcohol. You can get it in Australia called Isocol. Really expensive. This is like $10 per bottle. So I use this in a bath, which is there. And I wash the part in one bath of this pure and then another bath of water. And I alter between the two. But like I was just saying, you generally want to actually scrub the parts, which I haven't been doing. I've just been rinsing them. So the next step's to get a brush, like a solvent brush that won't dissolve, and then scrub my parts to make them more dimensionally accurate. Vincent is asking if the resin is durable enough for functional, useful parts, or is it too brittle? The resins do vary. This resin seems to be quite good, but it's also fairly brittle. I mean, I don't know if this is going to just break. Yeah, there you go. So this resin's very brittle, but it's hard. But you can get toughened resins as well. They're going to be a lot more expensive. So what I would recommend is to print things that need very high surface finish and detail. So Nilla, you might be interested in this. SLA is fantastic for miniatures, like ace for miniatures, because you can get 0.25 millimeter layer heights. And looking how thin that is, you can do swords, small details. You do have to break the supports away, which are brittle, as we've said before. You get left with pock marks, but it's because of small volume. It's not a big machine. You can do very small detailed parts. Mark's saying I should try metho. I was wondering if I should try methylated spirits, but if you're saying it works, I'll give it a go. That's cool, because that's a lot easier to get. Yeah, in terms of post-curing, you do need a UV light source to harden the parts. This one has not been hardened, so you can see it's quite flexy still. But you can use the sun, or you can actually get these UV sources for nails, like fingernail hardening for manicures. Is that the one? Yeah, manicures is the nails. To harden the similar UV cured resins. Peter's asking if there are any rubbery resins. Absolutely, there's rubbery resins, there's toughened resins, as I said. There's wax-like resins, so you can get a model like this and create an investment cast, and then use that investment cast to make a metal replica, which works very well. And there's all sorts of different types. There's water clear ones. You can get almost like a lens out of SLA. Okay, many people are asking why SLA can't have infill. Well, think about it like this. You're looking at a liquid system. So let's say we're printing this cube solid, right? Well, completely sealed, but we have zero infill. As you're building up, if you send this file across as, I guess, solid, but you don't do anything in the middle, you're going to be left with a wall and just liquid resin inside, which is bad, because then you got to get rid of that liquid resin. It's not hardened, it's not adding to the strength of the part, it's actually taking it away. And also the resin is very expensive, so you're going to end up with a part that's costing you a lot and not very strong. So the way around that is to do two things. You either make the part completely solid, which like I did in this one, that screw is completely solid. It's quite weighty, really. Or you hollow the parts out and you like drain the liquid resin out, like this one is done. So this one's completely hollow and the resin was drained out as it printed. It can get complicated for some models. For example, the cat, this one, this is hollowed out, and I've given it a wall thickness in Mesh Mixer by using the hollow function. So I put the base as being a hole, and I've given it a 1.5 millimeter, I guess, wall. And that way you save a lot of resin, because it's going to drain out afterwards and you can reuse the resin as much as you like. As long as it's still liquid in the bath, you can reuse it for other prints. Cryptogram is asking, can you make your own resin? I'm sure you probably can, but that would be way beyond my level of skill. I have no idea. Let's just say that resin qualities have improved a lot recently through a lot of research. Bryce, what is you made a hole in the bottom? Or what if you made a hole in the bottom? Exactly, that's what you can do. So this model, I'm just going to go to the other camera. This one here, it's got the tree-like support still on it, but it's a stone. So this, I'm sorry, I forgot the name of the artist, my bad. But basically, I hollowed this out and I put some holes in the bottom so the resin can drain out. And I haven't broken the supports off yet, but just to show you how the supports break off, you can just grab them there, and just kind of reach in, and they kind of come away almost like Velcro, just like that. Yeah, so you can put holes in using Mesh Mixer, no problem. What the F? I'm not going to say that. Will adding resin during the print cause issues with quality? It can. I have done it before. You need to watch out for air bubbles because the air bubbles can get into the print and leave you with voids and imperfections. So yes, you can top it up, absolutely. Just kind of do it from a corner where it filters in. Don't just roughly pour it in. Yeah, I am going to try methylated spirits next. The IPA was suggested for other machines, like other SLA systems, but I'm going to try methylated spirits next because it's a lot cheaper. TF is asking how long can you leave the resin in the bath? So this is UV curable resin, therefore it's sensitive to UV light. So this is an indoor room with lights that don't produce much UV light, fluorescence, that kind of thing. If I took this outside, the bath would cure in seconds. The UV source from the sun is extremely powerful and this stuff will just set. So you need to keep it away from any sort of UV source. So that's why normally when operation, it has this, which keeps the entire thing closed, keeps it safe, but also keeps the resin inside from curing. So I've had this in here not used for about a week and it seems to be working okay. The thing about SLA though is it's like a constant use machine. You can't buy one and leave it for months because the resin will slowly go off and it will cure. You get about 3 months in the bottle, but when you pour it out, I wouldn't leave it for longer than 2 weeks, honestly. That's quite a while. Is there any edible resins? No, there is not. You can't touch this at all with your hands when it's liquid, so I wouldn't even think about eating it. Cool, so that's kind of working. I'm going to change the angle of the camera so you can kind of see it a bit better. There you go, you can kind of see the part forming now. So you can see it there as it's being lifted out of the bed. So this slowly goes up and leaves us with our part. Necro is asking, does moisture screw the resin? I'm not sure. Not as much as like some filaments, but it probably does something. I'm probably not an expert as to if it does or not, but it's been very wet here and this seems to be working fine. But the baths are definitely consumable items. They will wear out and they need to be replaced. How heavy is the resin? It's approximately the same as water, I would say. So yeah, your milliliters to weight is probably going to be about the same. Ewok saying you need to change the platform each X prints. It's important. Yes, absolutely. So what you're saying there, this tray is a consumable item. So every time it releases, it damages it slightly. You're going to get the laser going through a cloudy base, therefore you're going to get less power and less accuracy. So this tray will need to be replaced probably soon because I haven't really treated it very well. But yeah, they are a consumable item. Yes, yeah, so Trevor, the tray tilts to relieve pressure off, relieve suction off that base layer. So there are some machines on the market that don't tilt, they just pull up, and that means you get left with parts that can stretch because they're trying to pull apart from both sides. Yeah, so because the laser's curing the resin between the two layers, it gets stuck to both parts. And that's why it needs to break away, that lower part. K-Man is asking what determines the thickness of the layer. That is determined through the actual Z height moving. The laser power can be set manually. I've got mine set to 70%. Any higher and you do get more, laser dispersal, so you lose accuracy, but too low and you're not going to cure it high enough. Therefore, you're going to not get parts, hardening enough. So it was 60 before and I was having some troubles. Mark recommended 70 and that works quite well. Jonathan's asking, how do I get a Simplify 3D sticker? Unless you meet me in person at an event, I would recommend actually just emailing them and see if they can send you one. Another bean saying it seems to be very quiet, which is nice. I'm going to take these off. They're really hurting my eyes. I'm not going to look at it. Yeah, it is very quiet. Actually, this is one of the few machines I can run at night because this place we've got has very poor insulation in the walls, very bad sound insulation. So normal FDM printers hit resonances, whereas this only makes noise when it moves the Z-axis. The actual laser itself is completely silent. You can't hear it at all. Joe is asking, do you always need glasses when around it or when the door is closed? Yeah, absolutely. So you can actually just leave it closed like that. One thing I did mention to Mark, which he's adding to his instruction, because this is a kit, you have to assemble it, is these panels need to be lined up at the top. Otherwise, there's gaps where the laser light potentially could leak out. But really, it's not a very high power UV source. It's not like a laser cutter. It's not going to blind you instantly. Don't take my word for it. You always should be careful with lasers anyway, but it's not going to be one of those laser cutters level wattages. Yeah, Vin, so you're saying why does the tray tilt to the left sometimes? I'm going to open that again, but not look at it. It always tilts. Every layer, it separates that layer from the adhesion to the base. So Ray's asking, so the resin is cold and cured by UV? Yes, so the resin's at room temperature. Some systems do warm up the resin. The Gizmo 3D actually can warm up its resin because it makes it cure faster when it's exposed to UV light. But basically the resin is not heated to harden. It's the UV light is used to polymerize the resin from liquid into solid. Joel's asking how much does the tray usually cost to replace? I'm not sure on the pricing yet. It shouldn't be too much though. It's not going to be as much as the form plates probably, but have a look on their website to see how much form charges for replacement build trays, and that should give you a vague idea. Reader's asking, do I know anywhere in Sydney where I can re-extrude failed PLA prints? I know the University of New South Wales were experimenting with that. They have a grinder and a filament extruder, but it's very much experimental and not so much useful at this stage. Okay, apparently it's easy to see the laser with the door closed. Let's try that. How's that? Maybe. You're getting reflections. What I might do is just show you some other prints. Let's go here. All right. So I've shown you all those, but I will show you, here's one I prepared earlier. So this is a maker coin that I printed earlier to prove that it would work. So the stream wouldn't be completely disastrous, although it may still be. This one was 25 microns, so it's very fine. And you can see here, kind of, it's hard to see, but that's where the supports were, and it does leave little marks. So you can sand this back, and as someone suggested, use other resins and a UV source to polish it up. Yeah, but I'm pretty happy with that. And again, it was printed at 45 degrees or so, just to give it a better finish quality, but you can't see the layers at all. No chance. Completely hidden. CJ Powers is asking, any opinion on the Wanhao Duplicator 7? I think it's a very low cost, very cool looking little machine actually. I may be testing one at some point, but at the moment, $400 US for a DLP is unheard of. And apparently that works quite well. So what can you say about that? It looks pretty awesome. Yes, I agree, Nilla. The resin prints are definitely sexy. Something that I'd like to do now, I have the ability to print very fine detail, is to look more into the wargaming stuff. You got to think, like, Warhammer, they must be terrified of this sort of thing. Like, this machine's still pretty expensive, $1,000 US, pretty high. But look at like the Wanhao Duplicator 7. What if you could 3D print your own wargaming figurines? There's nothing stopping you. The detail would be there. And probably cost less than buying them because the resin costs would be less than the ridiculous markup they charge. There's going to be something's going to happen. It's going to be pretty cool when it does. Oh, where's my mouse? I've lost it. There it is. Looks like a giant Haribo. Yes, the translucent color definitely makes it look like lollies. Or radioactive lollies, actually, I would say. It sounded like kind of a... I wouldn't eat it. Brandon, what do you think of the CraftBot in a school? I think the CraftBot's very noisy, but very, very rugged and quite decent. So if it's a good price where you are, then I'd go for it, actually. They're quite nice. Definitely more likely than not to survive in a school than other printers. Did I take off the Rave glasses? Yes, because I closed the printer. I put them back on, but no, it hurts my eyes. 3D Printing Lab, did you hear that the Olo now called Ono has started shipping 5 months delayed? Yes, I did. That is crazy. I was pretty certain that machine was a scam. And props to the Ono guys for actually making it possible. It still might be a disaster. It still might not work very well, but the fact they're shipping now soon is awesome. Very incredible. Games Workshop has been a case study for how not to run a business for a long time. FGM got them nervous and Resins will surely have them terrified. Absolutely. They can stuff it, honestly. I mean, you got to evolve. If you don't evolve, you're going to die. This is how it is. Clickbait radioactive lollipops. Yeah, I'll set up some clickbait. There's that kind of thing. Oh, it doesn't look great there. There. I have to say, this is one of my favorite prints so far. Like, it's the lattice cube taken to a whole nother level. You can just line it up perfectly in some aspects, and you can't even see the other lines, and then spin it around, you see all the lattices. All right, so this is taking a while. It might be going for another hour or two, so I might have to finish up soon, unfortunately. But it is working. I mean, you can see there in the stream, make it closer. You can see that it is sticking to the build surface. Let's put the glasses on so I can open it again. So we do have adhesion to the build surface, which means the print more than likely will survive. At this point, if it's not adhering, that's when it's bad. But now it's stuck nicely to the plate, it's going to survive. So what I will do quickly is show you how you finish these parts. So I'm going to grab one of them and then move this here. Put it down there. Right. Okay. Get some gloves. So to finish the parts, you need scraper blade, tweezers, and your isopropyl. Again, I'm going to try methylated spirits like you guys suggested, but I've been using this stuff. And I've got 2 baths. So I've got one of them here. That's isopropyl, IPA, and this is water. And now I've got to put on the gloves again. So yeah, so guys, I'm printing a Makers Muse coin, but it is going to take a while because I'm printing it at a ridiculous layer micron height. But again, like, this is one of those machines you just leave running all night. Right, so one glove. Oh, drop my glove. Yes, and I need to get a toothbrush, absolutely. So I will be reviewing this machine. Keep in mind it is pre-production. It does, things can change. But let's pretend, the cap, let's pretend that's just off the machine. So it would be stuck to that platform. And then you scrape it off. You have to take the platform out as well. You can see here, there's a little thumb screw. That's what you unscrew to take the platform out. You should never remove the tray without removing the platform because that will drip resin, and if it drips onto the laser and the galvo, you've stuffed it, like it's done. So you need to be really careful. But let's pretend this is just taken out. What I normally would do is wipe off the external resin with a paper towel just to sort of get some of it off, and then chuck it in there. And then with my tweezers, just twizzle them around. So you got to do this for about 10 minutes or so, 5 minutes maybe. Notice it's got that greeny tinge to it from dissolved resin. So that's that. And then you have water. So I'm not sure what the chemical reason is for using like a alcohol like IPA and then water. But basically, you notice it's cloudy. It's because what happens with this is once the print's been washed, you put it in here, it kind of, anything residue goes cloudy. I'm not sure if that's the alcohol or the resin. I think it might be the alcohol itself. Like, you know, when you have a Pernod and you add water to it, it goes cloudy, or an absinthe. We meant to add water to it anyway. And then you just basically do that, dry it off. And I've just been going back and forth a couple of times, but I do need a toothbrush to get, you know, resin off it further. And then when you're happy with it, you take it to a UV light source or outside in the sun if it's sunny and let it cure. I have heard that if you put this in water, like a glass jar, and then put it in the sun, it does do it better. I haven't tried that yet, but I will definitely test it out. But safety first, always wear gloves when working with this stuff, and also be careful of spills, so I'm keeping this well contained with towels. I did have one major accident where I accidentally put, when I was pouring resin out, it sort of came out and went on the table, but I'm being careful because this is a rental. When do you have a porno? Perno, not porno. It's a French aperitif. It's aniseed. It's alcohol. Yeah. So yeah, you do that basically, and it's best to take the supports off once it's hardened, because you get a nice small break point, and then you can clean it up afterwards. Ewok's asking, isn't it really flammable? That's a great question. Maybe. It may be flammable, but don't do it near an open flame. I mean, you drink alcohol all the time. No, that's not a good reason. Basically, yes, IPA and any sort of spirits will be flammable, but this has got a non-flame area. There's no open flames. I wouldn't smoke around it, but then you're not going to be smoking and using gloves and touching SLA prints anyway. So don't worry about that too much. Yeah, that's pretty much how it works. Close this up. So answer a couple more questions, guys, and then I'll probably finish up. As I said, this is on Kickstarter at the moment. It's called the Moai SLA 3D printer, and I will be reviewing it properly soon, keeping in mind that my machine is pre-production. Definitely has a few quirks that do need to be ironed out before machines are shipped, but it will be some time. And I'm going to just, where are you? Remove, no, block. Bye, Miles. Oh, so he's already been blocked. Review the Flux printer. That's a good idea. Actually, I have been in touch with Flux, so maybe look out for their new version being reviewed. And yeah, don't know what else there is to say. There's been a lot of fun testing an SLA. I've never really had a chance to use a liquid resin system 3D printer before. And this has actually been a pleasant experience. I was expecting a disaster, really difficult to use software, but really it's not too different to using a normal FDM, especially the way that Mark's done it using Cura to set up your slicing in G-code. A couple more questions. Galvo's issues with bumps and vibrations. Yes, Jeremy, you probably do have to be careful with vibration. I have my machines on a foam mat to help more to absorb vibrations from the machines themselves. But the laser's going so fast that you're unlikely to see much deviation. I mean, the actual Z axis is very unlikely to move. It's very rigid. So probably not too much of a big deal unless it's like constantly vibration. You're not going to be printing in a car, let's just say that. Mike, any issues removing prints from the plate? No, as I said, you unscrew it, take it out, and then use one of these bad boys to pop it off, and it comes off really easily. And once the plate's clean, you don't even have to clean it very well. Just wipe it down, put it back in, you're good to go. Bernard's saying someone is stealing your videos. Yes, that's happening a lot recently, unfortunately. People just automatically upload content on YouTube and hope that they'll get views off it. It's super stupid and they just get reported straight away on YouTube. But thank you, I'll check out and try to take those down again. Cool, all right, guys, this has been tons of fun. Thank you so much for joining me. That's been the Moai SLA 3D printer. Sorry about the late start and the slightly chaotic stream. As I said, I had to change PCs. And it's really good to be streaming again. You can see me more often, and Lady Muse just got back. Hello. So it's a good time to go, better than any. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video on Makers Muse. Hit that thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Hit the dislike if you didn't, and also subscribe if you haven't already. I'd really appreciate it. And look forward to seeing you again very shortly. Thanks for watching, guys. Enjoy your weekend or night or whatever time it is over there. See you later.